Hi, my name's Casey. I'm the early childhood teacher out at Corona Downs for half the week. I have a Bachelor of Early Childhood Education. Before coming to Eskay Kids, I was a primary school teacher and I've been at Eskay Kids for 7 years now.
Hi, my name's Victoria. I'm the early childhood teacher out at Corona Downs Early Education Centre. I've been teaching for 10 years and I've been with Corona Early Education for 5.
Hi, I'm Evie. I'm the early childhood teacher out at Springfield. I am an early childhood teacher with a Bachelor of Early Childhood, as well as a kinesiologist looking at the holistic framework for children learning through play.
Hi, my name's Sharman and I'm the early childhood teacher here at Mayfield Nature Kindergarten. I have over 26 years of experience working in the early childhood field. Most of that has been in a community kindergarten, and I have been here at Mayfield since we opened in July last year, and I look forward to the journey that we will have here.
Hi, my name's Courtney and I'm the ECT at Capalaba Childcare and Early Education Centre. I've been with Eskay Kids for 8 years now. During this time I have developed a true love for play and I started studying my Masters in Play Therapy.
Just like to start by saying we're early childhood teachers out at Eskay Kids, and we want to tell you a bit more about what we do and what makes us so special. So firstly, we run a nature program, so nature pedagogy is very big on our list, and there's a lot of benefits to nature play, which we'll go into. We also run an unstructured program, and again there's a lot of benefits to having unstructured play in early childhood, so we'll go into that a little bit as well. We have 4 centres. We have the Mayfield Nature Kindergarten, Corona Downs, Capalaba and Springfield centres. So we run an indoor-outdoor program for all of our children. We have a multi-age centre as well. So we have children in our centre, particularly from 15 months up to kindy age, and children are free to roam our space and to experience all that we have to offer. Our belief is very much giving children a natural childhood, letting them experience everything for themselves, allowing them to take control of their own play and setting up our environments so they can take full advantage of that. Because research shows that imagination and unstructured play benefit children far more than a structured program and being told what to do.
And I think with our free-flowing program, it allows children to have long periods of uninterrupted play, which benefits them as well. So they're able to flow their play from the indoors to the outdoors, which I think is a beautiful thing to offer children.
Research shows with children and the way their brain develops, their brain is not ready for formalised learning until they hit 7 years of age. So they don't benefit from any sort of structure. So their brain needs to get all that social emotional growth first. And the way they do that is through this free-flowing unstructured play. And only once they've got that can they go on to formal learning, which isn't until about 7. So going into school at years 4 and 5 is really a little bit too young. So whatever we can do to help children and give them all the play they can get, I think that's the best thing that we can do for children.
And with the play-based learning, it allows the kids to question why. So everything is questioning, why does this work? Why does that work? How is my behaviour affecting that child? Or what's the growth behind that? And then as they're doing that with supervision and guidance, but still allowing them to explore, they then are able to go through and grow on that and develop that inquiry learning, which is so important for their brain. For as they go on into schooling later on, they need that inquiry to ask why the teacher's telling them what to do, or why that science experiment is working the way they're working, because it's an inquiry-based learning. So it really helps set them up for that long term, but in the beginning just really allowing them to focus on the why, because the why is just so important for kids especially.
I agree. I do think as part of our role as the early childhood teacher, I think if we can take a step back and look at what learning is happening. We can draw out that learning and look for those moments within their day to see, oh right, they're thinking about early maths concepts here. Maybe we can bring in some language that's appropriate here for them to really gain the foundational skills of that. Literacy is also a big thing. Some children are not ready for formalised learning until the age of 7. So to talk about literacy in a way that's personally meaningful to them is really handy. That really gets them thinking along those lines early on, but in a play-based way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel children naturally show curiosity in literacy and literacy and numeracy, and then that's how we're able to embed and extend on what they're doing.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love that we're starting early on. We're starting in the kindy level, because I remember being at high school, primary school and high school, and learning about subjects that just didn't interest. So with that play-based inquiry and learning what they want to do, or looking for those moments where they are exploring maths, it's so much more meaningful, again, to go back to the questioning of why and how to learn things within their own interest. And we all know as adults how much more important and how much more cementing that is when you learn on your own terms. So that's why at kindy we're starting it early, so again they can work their way through and have a more successful career going up through the schooling channel.
I think it's about growing that love of learning. If they don't have that love of learning, they're not going to, I feel that they won't go ahead. They need to learn, not learn, but love what they're learning. And I think we can do that as a community, as with the parents' support, with the staff, with the educators, and with the community around them, that if they know that what they're doing, that they're here, they're exploring, they're taking the time to learn and grow with all that support around them, I feel that they will grow as a whole child. They won't have that pressure on them as to why can't you spell your name, why can't you write your name, because they will learn that when they're ready, because that's what they want to do. They're not being forced into that box that when they go to school, you need to know this, you need to do this, that they're ready to go to school and they have the confidence that they can walk in that door and succeed. And I think that's the way that we do Eskay Kids and develop our programs with the love of learning, the nature, the inquiries, the all of those things wrapped up in a ball, like providing all of that. I think the children will be resilient and they will be able to walk through that door and be able to think about what happens when this happens. What can I do? How can I help myself? How can I ask questions? So I think, having that love of learning and the resilience to have a go and be confident in themselves, I think that's that's the battle, I think, for them when they hit that school system, that they're confident in themselves as learners. Yeah. So.
And that's the beauty about what we do, I think.
I think so.
Children can choose what they want to do. It is totally free, unstructured play. They can choose what they want when they want to stop it.
Definitely.
Because there's no adults telling them what to do. So it's pure play. It's not instruction.
Let's
so to
sit down
speak.
for lunch.
Yeah.
Let's have a group time. Let's pulling them away from that play is interrupts their learning and So.
And I think our group times at Eskay Kids, we don't have large group times where everybody comes together. We have small intimate group times where children can really delve into what they're doing and what they're interested in those small groups. So they're still learning the social skills of learning to take turns when talking in a small group. They're still learning to share their ideas and their thoughts. It looks differently at Eskay Kids, I think.
And just adding to that, I know when we have little gatherings, I'm more than happy for the children to just talk, because they need to get that verbal language up for future success at school. To get that writing later on, they have to have all that verbal stuff first. So I'm more than happy when we do those gatherings for the children, just to go with it and
To lead the way.
lead the way.
I do find with our group times when we're doing them at Eskay, it's not just one age group that they're talking with. We've got at Eskay from 15 months through to 5 years. So amongst that group, you can have many questions coming from children from all different parts of our community, and there's such rich learning that can happen. The children learn to listen to the younger ones they learn learning language skills from the older ones. The teachers are there supporting the children through that and are guiding discussions if they feel that that's needed.
We quite often have siblings who will be in the small groups, and they enjoy that time together, that time, and the younger children learn from their older siblings, like they're sitting there with them, engaging with them. So I think that's really beautiful as well, that siblings are able to spend the day together if they choose to.
And that's the community at Eskay, because they are from 15 up to 5 years old. And I even find within my classroom or within the centre, that they even regulate themselves. Like if a sibling's doing something, they talk to them in a meaningful way to show them the guidelines of what's acceptable or what's not acceptable. And what they come up with is often quite harsher than what I would come up with. But the kids seem to interact so well and really set those boundaries within themselves, because they've had that opportunity to learn at their own pace and grow that way. So the community is just so important in Eskay, and the kids get to learn from different teachers as well, or educators going around learning from a variety of people, not just the one way, which is really important.
Yeah.
I'll just change the subject slightly, just talking about environments. So we set up our environment for the interests of the children, to try and engage them and want them to come in, and then only if they're engaged and it's personally meaningful, they're going to learn. So a lot of what we do is trying to create a stimulating environment for the children, to invite them in, and then hopefully they'll take that further. So we have a lot of loose parts so they can extend their play, and we have a lot of different little areas that we set up. So research, basically, intelligence comes from problem solving. And a lot of problem solving has a lot to do with creativity and imagination. So if we can get all that and embed that in those first years when that brain is growing, then we're setting them up a lot better for future success.
And I think with our environments as well, providing a welcoming and calm environment where we focus on the relationships with the children, where establishing those strong relationships is really important for their learning as well. Because they feel comfortable to learn, they feel confident to explore their environment when those relationships are strong.
Yeah, I agree. And we have care groups in our centre, so children have a care group leader. So that leader or that care group educator is always responsible for those children, so they have a solid adult that they can always go to, just to give them that sense of security and that relationship for work, which I think is really important.
We'll just add on with the care group situation that we have, it's the child enters the childcare centre at say 15 months, but they're with that care group leader right through till kindergarten age, and then the kindergarten teachers oversee the kindergarten program of all the 3 care groups. So it's really great. They've got that solid connection with 1 or 2 main educators for their entire journey through Eskay Kids. So yeah, it's great for them.
And I guess at Mayfield we're a little different in that our age group is only the 3 to 5 year olds. So we still do have the care groups, so we have that as well. And I think with that 3 to 5s, we still have the multi-age with siblings. You know, we still have the younger ones with their older ones here. So we do have that multi-age as well. But we also, I guess, with our environment, we are lucky here. We have the fortunate that we have all of this to explore. So we do have our indoor and outdoor program and our beyond program. So we take the opportunity every week to take some of the children out and explore what Mayfield has. So, you know, we have the dams, the rivers, the hay sheds. So there's many questions and many opportunities for us to extend their learning. And then they bring that back into the cottage and share that with the children that are here and with the educators that remain. So there's all that wonderful learning that we can do in this environment. And we have the chickens roam, you know, around us. And we raised some chickens, which was interesting, and they could fit through our fence. So as they were growing, they would come back into our backyard, and the children would curl up where their cage was. That's where they would come in and sleep. So that was a lovely continuation of our hatching program that we had here, that the children have actually seen them continue growing, and they still see them every day walking around. So we are very lucky here that we have this wonderful nature around us for us to explore.
And the kindy kids at Springfield absolutely love their outings coming out
we're
here.
excited when we see the bus come. There's people
The
here
kids
to
love
say
the
hello.
bus, and they love everything about it. On the trip out here, we're talking about so many things. Like last week when we came through, an ambulance went past, and then a fire truck went past, and then we got onto different police officers and what their roles were, and that it just goes so beyond just a childcare setting. Like it's real life things for the children all the time. And so then when we came out here, a small group from Springfield comes out here each week, and so they get to experience the hay shed and the river and the dams and the fish and the cows, and the whole trip home they took 1,000 miles an hour, and then relay that to their parents, which again is building that literacy and communication. And then when we got back, we have this beautiful boy in our centre who has been struggling socially, and he got back and all of his mates all the friends came around to talk to him about all the things he'd done out at Mayfield that day, and it really helped set him up to then be able to approach other children. So it was so much more emotionally and socially beneficial than just going to a farm for the day. Like it really had value for that child, and the parents have seen the value in that child, and all the carers have, and now he's growing like it's just amazing to see him turn up each day and go in and talk about his farm experience with his mates. So something you just wouldn't get in a regular story time. Like it's just beyond anybody's expectations. And they're so happy. The kids are just so happy with all of it.
I agree. Just last week when we came out, so the hay shed, the swing in the hay shed, so children are working their gross motor muscles, which they don't know, and then we're going down to the river. They're finding all these rocks with patterns in, and we were looking at patterns at nature last week, so they've got that. Go down to the river, we were catching fish. Fish got tipped out, so there was a big discussion on what fish need to survive. So there's so many learning opportunities just in the everyday.
And it's also our environments at the centres, at the farm at Mayfield, that are calculated risk. Like they're climbing across logs, which is using so many different muscles, and as they're climbing across that log, they're using their left and right brain to be able to form that balance. And though it's just like crawling, we have to go through those crawling stages to be able to stimulate the left and right brain. When they're climbing across an uneven log, that same process is happening, and it's just developing it stronger to make better learners as they get older. So it's all those kind of calculated climbing, jumping. We've got a crash pad at Springfield where they jump off things onto it, but it's knowing what their limits are and being able to keep themselves safe, which again is useful for everybody. Like,
sure, risk-taking is a big part of our philosophy there. Having an environment that is safe for them to explore, have risk-taking opportunities, but the children know their boundaries. They know within themselves that climbing up the tree, this is where I feel safe, so this is as far as I'll go. So it's really great.
Or then feeling the moss on the tree or the rain on the tree, and we can't go as high today because of this, and they're telling us that. It's not us telling them that. They're saying, oh, it's slippery today, we can only go this far. And that's that calculated risk, which I think more adults should have had as kids, personally.
And also just them having the time to be able to find that out for themselves is very important. I was reading over the weekend, there was Massachusetts Institute of Technology. They did this study program, and they had two groups of children, and one group of young children kindy age, preschool age, they had this toy that lit up, made sounds, did this if you turned it this way, did that, whatever, whole lot of things. One group of children, they showed them how to make it squeak and do this noise. The other group of children, they just let them explore on their own. At the end of the study, the kids that knew how to squeak the toy could still squeak the toy. The children in the other group who hadn't been given any instruction and had the time to explore knew every little element of what that toy would do. So I think it's really, that just showcases how important it is to give children the time to explore.
Definitely.
Because, that's what they need, their imagination.
Part of their day at Eskay Kids is free unstructured play, and we all know the benefits of that. But when you think about when each child is coming from their home and their different routines within their household, we don't disrupt that when they come to Eskay Kids. We don't stop them from playing to then go to morning tea, to then go back to group time. The children are free to listen to their bodies, to know when it's time for them to have a bit more food, maybe to stop their play to go have a drink of water. We don't instruct them to do that. We allow them to really listen to their body when it's time for a rest. Maybe they take themselves over to the couch, or maybe they want a bit of outside playtime with their mates. They choose all of these things on their own. It's never directed by us. We follow what they're wanting and what they're needing throughout the day, but it's all definitely child-led, but supported by the teachers.
And that's one of the benefits of unstructured play, I think, is just children are able to practice those self-regulation skills, confidence building, their communication skills, all these skills that they need when they go into school, they're getting through an unstructured program because they're being allowed to grow at their own pace, and they've been given the agency to just go out and explore and take risks and really take their learning where they can take it.
And building that solid foundation for them right the way through. Like if they learn it at a young age, that's the foundation to build on as they grow. So yeah, definitely.
I think as skilled teachers though, I think our job is to not necessarily get involved with what's happening, but be able to sit back and trust that children know what they're doing, and to be able to identify the learning that's happening there and know when it's appropriate to step in and maybe support them a little more, or step back and allow them to really explore and be free with what they're doing.
And to trust the process that they're going through.
I think Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge.
Definitely.
And that's never truer than in young children, I think. So anything we can do to stimulate that imagination, we're benefiting the children. So I just want to talk a little bit about the process of coming from our kindy going into the school and the benefits that I see. Our local primary school is just a couple of 100 metres up the road, and the majority of our children go up there. So Vic and I have quite close relationships with the prep teachers up there, and we find the program that we run being unstructured and allowing children to take their play where they want is the biggest confidence builder you can get. And we find when our children go into school, and we've talked to the prep teachers sort of midway through prep year, and our children, although at first, you know, they're not used to sitting on a mat and listening because that's not what we do, come middle of the year, our children actually perform better because what we do is encouraging children to think for themselves. They're taking charge of themselves as learners because that's what they've always done. They're not sitting there on a chair waiting to be told what to do. Their mind's working, okay, well, I could try it this way, I could do it that way. So as learners, I think what we do is massive for young children, and the schools are actually seeing that.
Yeah, it's great that they can report back to us about that too, that they're seeing a difference between the Eskay kids within the prep environment as opposed to the children coming from a more structured, teacher-led kind of kindergarten program. It's great to have those connections with the teachers too. We pride ourselves on getting out into the community quite often. We go see the ladies that work in the pharmacy, or we walk down to the fire station there and have a chat down there. We try and get out to the community quite regularly, actually. Yeah.
I think we have really well-grounded, confident children, and that really is our aim.
It is.
At the end of kindy, we want these children socially and emotionally ready,
Yeah.
because that's where they should be,
Yeah.
and we just want them ready and enthusiastic to go in. And yeah, we've got confident learners, and that, as I said, that's putting it onto the children. They're taking charge of their learning. They're not letting the teacher be in charge.
Yeah.
It's like, I can do this. And it's that I can attitude that we are developing in kindy, because they experience success in what they do. Nothing they do in kindy is wrong,
Yeah.
you know, because they've taken it their way. They experience success. They've got that I can attitude.
Yeah.
And I think that is very important going into school.
And I think because they have developed that love for learning early on,
Absolutely.
they're able to bring that into the classroom when they transition to formal schooling, which is so important. That they have a genuine love for exploring and. Yeah.
And then just another little example, you have a child that's playing at the water trough, and they don't know it, but they're filling up containers, and they're working with volumes, and they're using mathematical language, but it's their play, they don't realise. But then they go into school and the teacher does, right, we're going to do this today. Oh yes, I've done that at kindy, I know what to do, and I know what this is. So it all comes back in. Although we don't have structured learning, they're learning because they're enjoying it. And then later on they can make those links once their brain is ready to make those links in the formal schooling. They'll remember back to what they did.
Setting strong foundations.
Yep.
That's what we're about.
Yep.
It is. It was wonderful to hear you say that, because I think from my background with Mayfield, we're only just starting to see our children go into the prep year. But in my previous service, I was from a very structured centre. So my children were probably the ones who could sit on that mat for 20 minutes, the ones who could write their names, ones who could. And I think starting here, I have had to do some deep thinking on myself and a lot of reflection as to what my previous practice was. I knew all of the, the child-based, all the play, that, and all the benefits, but I guess with the setting that I was in, this is the way that it was done. And I guess coming here, I've had to reflect, and I can see changes in myself and with my way that I look at the children, the way that I look at the play. And I'm actually looking forward to next year and reaching out to some of the preps around here just to see how the children are going, and just to see where the difference is, because and I've spoke to parents, over the years, and their children, some of them did struggle when they went to school because they weren't confident and they didn't have that, that ability to, that resilience, because we had that hat on that children must know how to spell their name, how to write their name, how to count to 10, know their 10 colours, that sort of thing. Whereas here, the children know that, but they love it. They want to do it. They weren't. They're ready. They're ready to move on. So I'm looking forward to seeing how our preppies go next year, as to how that structured play versus, what we're offering us out here at Mayfield and with Eskay Kids.
But that's where the whole brain science comes into it.
Definitely.
Because they're not ready. That's why the Scandinavian countries, their students constantly come out top.
And I would
maths and
continually
English.
question myself in my previous service, am I doing the best thing for my... But I guess the service I was at, that's the parents' expectations too. This is what the parents wanted. They wanted. So I've changed my... looking deep into myself as to my teaching philosophy and what I can offer here now and with the children.
I had a similar journey 8 years ago. And I think over time, I developed an understanding and an appreciation for this philosophy. But then it was educating the parents as well that social and emotional skills are actually far more important than
being
just the academic side of things.
And also educating parents that, children don't need to learn to read and write before they go to school.
That's
They
what
don't
school's
have
for.
to. That's what school's
That's what school's for.
And
We're for play, you know.
Yeah.
Children don't need to do that. And if you look at all the research, by the time a child hits 8 years of age, when that frontal cortex is fully developed and they're ready for that formal learning, every child's on an even keel. Whether one child could count to 20 when they were 3, and you know, a child entering prep can't count to 20. By the time they're age 8 and their brains are mature, they're all on an even keel. So there's absolutely no research to show that pushing children under the age of 7 to do all this stuff benefits them in any way.
In any way.
And when I've spoken to teachers say we have to teach them to write the alphabet. We have, like, that's their role. Their curriculum is they need to count to 1 to 30, and that's part of the prep and the beyond program. And they said, but what takes a lot of our time up in prep is teaching kids how to be socially how to behave socially, how to get their emotions in check, how to work out how to use a pencil and to get those fine motor skills going, how to get their left and right brain going. And they say, and that is more important. They're going to learn the reading and writing. Why? They'll be then bored in school, and that is then going to wreck their confidence later on when they're sitting in the classroom bored, getting into trouble for fidgeting. Whereas if we can teach them the actual foundation framework, that is where the kids can learn to grow, and they're going to learn that, and they'll want to learn that. So let's make it exciting for them.
Yeah, for sure. And I have to say we're becoming quite the advocates for doing an extra year of kindy, because we're just seeing so many benefits of children just having that extra year of play to grow.
Definitely.
So every year I think more and more we're getting more children coming back. So children are starting school at 6 and not 5, and it's amazing.
It does make a difference.
I've heard of nothing but great things.
Of all the children that have had that extra year of play in our program, not one single parent has come back saying that was the wrong decision for their child. Giving them that extra time to consolidate their learning in our environment, building resilience and the confidence that's needed to go into the formal schooling where they're not, they don't have such close contact with their teachers as what they would in our environment. They're really on their own, and they need to have that confidence that they can manage their school bag and their lunchbox, that they can undo their pencil case and find the things that they need. I think our environments definitely support that. I know that we have scissors and glue and sticky tape available 100% of the time. So these children can go over and master using scissors, not because it's time to cut zigzags as a group, it's just because they're interested to know how does that work. Are my hands ready for that? Well, I'm going to keep trying at that. Maybe they'll come back to it next week. But they've got that time in our program to master these skills.
And sorry, just slightly different, but adding on to what you were saying, talking to the parents every year as their child starts prep, because I'm a local with the school, so I see a lot of the parents. How's such and such going? Oh, they're loving it. They're just 40. They're so excited, and they're coming home and they've learnt this. And I'm just so proud that we've done that. You know, we have sent those children into school confident and ready to take on the world.
It just reaffirms that our philosophy is on board with what children need at this time in their life.
But even I've got the Eskay Way still supports the children who are a bit more advanced at reading or whatever, those gifted children as well. Our Eskay Way helps to allow them to continue that growth. And so some of the kids are reading naturally at a younger age, and that is still encouraged, and that then brings in the other areas like the social skills that child is maybe a little bit more lacking, but the reading is exceptional. So he's then reading to peers and helping to expand that as well. So regardless of whether the child needs a lot more stimulation, they have access to it the way with our programs.
Yeah, multi-age programs are just absolutely what the children need. The older ones are learning from the younger ones are learning from the older ones. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
So another thing I just felt we should have a chat about is the relationships that we form with the children. I think being unstructured and not having a timetable where we have to stick to this and make sure the children all get this done and make sure they have their gluing done and make sure they have lunch at this. I think it just gives us all the time to really form close relationships and those close bonds, and it just adds to the child's sense of security in the environment they're in, which then allows them the confidence to be able to explore freely, because they know we're there if they need us, and we're free to have a chat. If they're having a bad day or they're missing mum, they're quite happy to come up and have a chat, and they know we're going to be there and we've got the time for them. And I think building those bonds is just as important for our young children, because they need that love and care.
And I think because we offer a free-flowing program, our children are spread out throughout all of the rooms and throughout the outdoor environments. So we do have quiet, calm spaces where we can have those interactions and really develop those relationships with the children.
And it helps with the transition as they do come up to kindy. It helps with that transition that you have the other educators within the centre who can check in on them, and they're so excited to take it back and show their old teacher what's been going on for them. And if they need a little space during the day just to reconnect or just to check in on their emotions, they have the support of everybody in the centre. It's just not one staff member for the day that they connect with. They have the whole, all the staff members. It is such a community that they can reconnect in with who they need to help them step over that little challenge that they're having for the day.
And I think that's with the children as well. So if they've made a friend in one room, they can still play with that child even if they are in a different room because of our free flow program.
And I find that funny at Springfield. We have a beautiful little 15-month-old who is so attached to like a 3-year-old, and they go along doing the similar activities together, and she's doing them at a 1.5-year-old age and he's doing them at a 3-year-old age, but they're just so happy and content, and it's that growth off each other which is so special, really special.
They feel secure.
Yeah,
in their
definitely.
relationship. I find that with the staff within Eskay Kids, all the staff know every single child, have had many interactions with every single child. So if their child is feeling down at some point, it's not a random educator coming to comfort them. They've already made that connection with them. They've had that bond established early on. Our children feel calm within our centre. There's no chaos. There's very rarely a child that's upset that hasn't been comforted. It's immediate response from the educators there.
And I think that is with parents as well. Like all of the staff have relationships with all of the parents because we are a big community. So.
Yeah, I think, we've got to remember, especially like with us being kindergarten teachers, some of those children have been with us since they're 15 months of age. Some of those children are with us 5 days a week, from morning till night. They're only young children. They need to have those close relationships in order to grow.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's lovely that we are able to form those. As Vic said, all the children in the centre. All the children.
Yeah.
And I think when the parents see those relationships that we have developed with the children, they are more confident as well and feel reassured that they've chosen the right spot, the right place to send their children, and that they are confident in sharing things that are happening in their family life. So that we're well aware of when they walk in here, what may have happened on the weekend, what is upsetting them, and we can talk about that with the children, and they feel confident enough to share that with us, with those relationships that we have developed with the children.
So in that we also, we also take the time to build the relationships with the parents.
Definitely.
Maybe slightly easier for Victoria and I. Karana Downs is quite a small community, so we know a lot of the families anyway. But I think it's very important that, you have a close relationship with the parents as well. So,
Definitely.
And building that trust.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think a testament to what we do in building relationships is every year when our prep cohorts start, they all come down to visit. They want to come back to kindy. That's their special place. So I think that says a lot about what we've built with them. They want to come back and see us and spend time with us, sometimes over and over again. But they're always welcome. We love seeing them. Yeah.